Find value in anything and everything. You can find value in anything you do. I see so many people on TikTok saying they're disciplined. They think just because they're disciplined within the gym, that makes them disciplined, when it's not the truth. The definition of discipline is doing something when you don't feel like it. Doing your homework when you don't feel like it, that's a sign. It's a clear sign of discipline. And I feel like so many people overlook this. Discipline is found in the most simple things. Not wanting to do that accounting project, but you do it anyways. Not wanting to go to that accounting class, but you go there anyways. This came up recently with me. And instead of complaining and having a closed mindset, thinking the entire experience was going to suck, I opened my mind and I found value from what I was doing. Today I had an exam for one of my history classes. The class is world history since 1945, and right now we're talking about the Cold War. Specifically, we just talked about Vietnam, the Vietnam War. We talked about India after World War II, Egypt, just all of these sub areas. And I had a reading that was due on Tuesday. We were supposed to have it read before today, because there was going to be a question over on the exam. So what do? I wait till the very last minute. I wait till Wednesday, yesterday, to start reading this book. I'm going to pull it out right now. Actually, it was a very good book. The best we could do, it's 300 pages. That's not luckily, but luckily it's all pictures, as you can see. So it made it a pretty easy read. But in this story, I found some value. I found something I could take away from it. To give you guys, I'm sure none of you are going to go on to read this. If I was in your shoes, I definitely wouldn't have, unless I was forced to read it by taking this class. But this book, it starts off with this mother having a kid, and her mother is there talking about when she had her. And then it talks about the mother's childhood, being an immigrant straight off of South Vietnam, coming to California, kind of her lifestyle. She talked about how her relationship with her dad was. It wasn't very clean at all. It wasn't organized. Her dad was constantly smoking, constantly cussing at these kids, and they're like 5 years old. Not being the best parent, not being a good parent whatsoever. But then later on, when she grows up, she's getting her master's degree. That's why she wrote this book. She decided to start getting to know her father. She started asking him questions. And she realized the reason why he was so distant was because of the things he experienced in his childhood. He grew up in North Vietnam. After World War II, there was the French Indochina War, and French troops came into their camp, butchered pretty much everyone, butchered all the landowners, and they threw him in a pond to save him, to hide him. Someone eventually came on days later, and they reunited him with his grandpa. He ended up getting pushed away from his dad because his dad wanted nothing to do with him. So he's being raised by his dad, or by his grandpa and grandma. And then again, we just see this continuous story of struggling with not having a father. He had that grandpa, but he's missing that father. So that affected him quite a bit. And then he moves to South Vietnam, and that's when the U.S. retreat. So South Vietnam is all communist now. He ends up losing his job. He was a teacher, and to communism, educators are looked at as an enemy. So they're all fired from their jobs, and they're put on a watch list, and they have to apologize and confess to what they did wrong to the government. So food is scarce, money is scarce. They're doing hard labor now, and he has to find a way. He knows this is not a sustainable life. So he finds a way, buys a boat, networks with a couple people. They all get on this boat. They go to some refugee camp. Didn't even know where they were going. They were just sailing until they saw land. They saw land, and luckily it was a refugee camp. And then they ended up working with some of the refugee leaders there, and they got a plane ticket to the U.S. But it was kind of a full circle moment. On my YouTube channel, I've been preaching the importance of changing your perspective to that person's perspective, to understand, to get a better understanding of the situation. Doing this is going to help you manage people so much more effectively and efficiently. And recently I haven't been doing this. So reading this book, it just opened my eyes. Prior to this exam, we had another article we had to read. It was like 9 pages. It was a short story. But this story, it really touched me. And that sounds kind of crazy, but like, I'm not super into reading, but whenever you lock in and you ask yourself, how can I make this valuable? You start to take things out of it, and it starts to get so much more engaging. So I'm reading this book. It's called like The Paper Mandarin. I might have butchered that. I'm not too sure. But anyways, it takes place in Chicago, and this American dad buys a wife from a Hong Kong newspaper. They have a kid, and the kid is here, and the mother, she, again, straight from Hong Kong, doesn't speak very much English, and she's a refugee. She's lost everything. So she's trying to keep on that Chinese tradition. So she's making these paper mandarins. I think that's what they're called. But they're just like origamis, pretty much. So she's making that for her son, and her son enjoys it. But as he gets older, he starts hanging out with other kids in the neighborhood, and they start judging him, bullying him for being Chinese, or not necessarily for being Chinese, but for having these Chinese traditions. There is this one instance where there was the son and then a neighbor, and they were just playing with their toys, and the neighbor, he had like an Obi-Wan Kenobi figurine, and the other guy, he's playing with like paper toy, and the neighbor says, "Are you too broke to afford this?" So after that, he kind of gives up all of that, and he starts to resent his mom for that. Whenever he's talking to his mom, he has this resentment. She doesn't speak much English, so she tries and speaks Chinese to him, and he doesn't respond to her. He says, "No, for now on, you're only going to speak English to me." So this created a distant gap between them. Over the years, this gap just further intensified. She's on her deathbed. Her son comes up to visit, and he still holds this resentment. But she tells him, on this certain day, which is the Chinese version of Day of the Dead, essentially, take out the shoebox in the attic. The shoebox has all of the paper origamis, I can't even say the word, but the paper mandarin toys. Take that out and open it, and then on this day I'll find you. So he doesn't end up doing that, but years later, his dad dies. He moves back to the house. Him and his wife, they're unpacking everything, and she goes in the attic and she finds this box. She starts putting these toys everywhere around the house, and there was a note written in one of the toys because he found that out because he crumbled it, like he didn't want anything to do with it. So he saw this message. He goes to downtown Chicago, talks to a Chinese woman, and she translates it for him. And it was honestly really sad. I mean, the mother is explaining her origin. I don't know if you guys know, there was a dictator in China under the Cold War, right after World War II, started a Cold War named Mao. Mao completely changed China. He created a cultural revolution where anyone who was educated, he empowered the youth to go and kill their professors, to go and burn books, to go and burn art. And then after they did this mass purge, they were sent to the countryside for re-education, where they just did heavy, intensive labor work. His mom was able to escape to Hong Kong. She lost her mom, lost her dad, lost her grandpa, lost her grandma in this, and now she's a maid in Hong Kong, and she's not getting treated very well, and this girl on the street offers her an opportunity to be bought by an American. So she goes over her backstory, which explains, why she was the way she was. I mean, she was so distant because she felt like she lost everything in her culture. But then it's just going on, talking about how sad she was whenever she's talking to her son, and her son won't even listen to her anymore. Because she's speaking Chinese, she would still make these paper toys, put them by her son's bed, and he would just throw it away, and that just broke her heart. And it really touched me because I feel like in the past couple years, I can, in a way, relate to this situation. My mom, I love her to death, but my mom, she's been treating me like a kid still. And for the longest time, that just annoyed me. I don't know why. It just annoyed me. It annoyed me I was being treated like a little kid. But now, after reading this and reflecting on my entire situation, I just can't believe I held that resentment. I mean, obviously it wasn't to the point where I wasn't talking to my mom, but anytime that would happen, I would just get annoyed. I'd be out with friends and she'd be blowing up my phone, asking me when I'm going to be home, if I'm going home, where I'm spending the night. Little things like that, it just drove me nuts. But after reading this story and thinking this kid is such a douchebag, I see myself in that, in my past situations. And that has helped me so much. I didn't realize that until this morning. It has helped me so much in this one day. My mom loves me very much. Your mom loves you very much. No matter what problems you have with her, she's always going to love you. Sometimes she can be a little clingy, treat you like a little boy, but that's what you are to her. You're always going to be her little boy. So just embrace it, because one day she's not always going to be there for you. Recently, I've been really missing my mom, reading all of these stories about family, reading that story about the paper mandarin. But you really just take these moments for granted when we really can't. It made me reflect on my entire time when I'm spending time out there with my mom, stepdad, and sister. Whenever I'm out there, all I'm doing is playing the Xbox in the other room. Just non-stop for like 4 or 5 hours at a time. I'll go and eat something, and then I'll hop right back on the game. And then if my friends are down, we'll go hang out somewhere. I can still hang out with my friends, but there's no reason I should be playing video games for as long as I have been. In 2020, I mean, I'm looking back at this now, 2020, I was again just playing video games all day. My mom, stepdad, and sister would be upstairs on the couch watching some movie. And right now, if I could go back, I would go watch that movie with them. If I could go back to this past winter break, I would take away the Xbox. I would force myself to hang out with them more. I mean, it's crazy. Reading this one little article touched me so much, gave me so much value that it opened my mind to what I've been doing wrong for the past 5 years, 6 years. COVID started, I guess, no, COVID would have been 2020, so 5 years. And I never would have thought of it that way if I never went on to stay disciplined and read these books, read these articles. So just keep that in mind the next time you don't feel like doing something. There is real value in everything you do. You can find value in anything you do. Today, there is this girl on my floor. I haven't talked to her since like the second week, which is crazy. It's been like 4 or 5 weeks since I've talked to her. Sat with her at lunch, caught up a little bit, and I wasn't thinking too much of it, but now I'm seeing the value that I felt just engaging with someone else. Right now I'm preaching about, being social, but reflecting on my life, I'm not even doing that to a certain extent. I honestly just feel so lonely. I wake up 7:30 in the morning, walk to the gym, no AirPods, but I don't speak to anyone. Go to the gym, put in the AirPods. I don't really speak to anyone. If I see someone I recognize, I'll say what's up, talk to them for a little bit, but I'm not actively going out and talking to random people, which is what I need to be doing. After the gym, I'll go to my classes, talk to some people there. After that, I'll go out to eat. And if no one's with me, I'll just sit by myself, put in some AirPods. I won't try and talk to someone new, make that new friend, which is what I need to be doing. And then after that, my nighttime routine past 6 p.m., it's pretty much just been come in the room, film a video, edit it, work on some homework, and then go to bed. I just feel like I'm a hypocrite right now. I'm preaching to be social, but I'm not truly doing this. And having this one interaction with this girl that I haven't talked to since the second week back of moving, I just see what's wrong and what I need to fix going forward. I mean, again, this is so crazy. Reading this one book, this one article, made me think about this, and that made me think about this, and then it made me think of this huge idea, this main message that we can get value out of everything we do. And then I'm making recommendations. I'm making goals of what I need to be doing to increase my social life, to increase my professional life. All because I figured out you can find value in everything. And that's what I'm going to continuously do and continuously preach. So you right now, you're watching this video. What are you gaining from this? What value are you stripping away from this video? The next time you're on a walk, you're walking to the bus, you're walking to a class, just think, what value am I getting from walking to this class? I mean, I know it sounds crazy. It's not going to be anything major. But if you're able to get in the mindset that everything you do, you can get value out of, your whole outlook on life just becomes more positive. You become a more positive human being. That's all I have for you guys today. I know that seemed like that's probably a super long video. I just got super passionate there for a minute and started talking. But I hope you guys can feel the genuineness, how genuine I am while I'm speaking, because I truly am passionate about all of this. I hope you all have a great day and have a great weekend. Have the best weekend yet, but don't slack off because, I forget what the number is, but The weekends are very important. The weekends add up in a month. That's what? 2 times 4 or 2 times 5? That's like 10 days. Spread that across 12 months. That's like 72 to 80 days, depending on the month. Days that you're missing out if you're slacking. So keep at it. I know you guys will. But yeah, hope you all have a blessed day. Thanks for listening. Peace.